Hi, everyone. I'm Elaine Quijano. New information is raising more questions about the, quote, imminent threat used to justify the killing of a top Iranian general. The Trump administration still says it launched an airstrike killing Qasem Soleimani because of an imminent threat on American interests. Little is known about the nature of the threat. President Trump claimed Iran was potentially targeting 4 U.S. embassies, including one in Baghdad. On Face the Nation Sunday, Defense Secretary Mark Esper told Margaret Brennan he has not seen any evidence to back that up.
Was the specific threat that the president shared with Fox News about 4 U.S. embassies being under threat also shared with Congress? Why was there a difference?
What the president said was he believed that it probably and could have been attacks against additional embassies. I shared that view. I know other members of the national security team shared that view. That's why I deployed thousands of American paratroopers to the Middle East to reinforce our embassy in Baghdad and other sites throughout the region.
Probably and could have been. That sounds more like an assessment than a specific, tangible threat with a decisive piece of intelligence.
Well, the president didn't say it was a tangible, he didn't cite a specific piece of evidence. What he said is he believed.
Are you saying there wasn't one?
I didn't see one with regard to 4 embassies.
CBS News has confirmed that State Department security officials were not notified of any imminent threats to U.S. embassies. Margaret Brennan also reports the president authorized the targeting of Iranian commanders, likely including Soleimani, as early as last summer. This was backed up by reporting in the New York Times that discussions about killing Soleimani had been ongoing for the past 18 months. In a Monday morning tweet, President Trump insisted an imminent threat from Soleimani was real, but wrote, quote, "It doesn't really matter because of his horrible past." Attorney General William Barr echoed that sentiment in a press conference earlier.
I believe there was intelligence of imminent attack, but I do believe that this concept of imminence is something of a red herring. I think when you're dealing with a situation where you already have attacks underway, you know there is a campaign that involves repeated attacks on American targets. I don't think there's a requirement, frankly, for knowing the exact time and place of the next attack, and that certainly was the position of the Obama administration when it droned leaders of terrorist organizations.
Anita Kumar and Natalie Andrews join me now. Anita is a White House correspondent and associate editor for Politico, and Natalie is a congressional reporter for the Wall Street Journal. Welcome to you both. Anita, Attorney General Barr says imminence is a red herring, but help us understand why so many are focusing on the timing of the threat.
Well, the timing is important because the president of the United States, not just this president, but any president, is supposed to go to Congress to get authority to, go through with a strike or start a war. What he does have is an exception. If the United States is facing a threat, an imminent threat, then the president is allowed to act without going to Congress. So that's why you see so many people on Capitol Hill saying, what was the threat? Did the president have the authority to do that or not? And so it is very important. The other reason is we've seen, as you've indicated, from the administration, differing statements over the past week. We've seen the president say something. We've seen other members of the cabinet and other officials say different things, and they haven't all said the same thing. So there's some skepticism exactly on what information they did have and what kind of threat it was.
So, Natalie, given what Anita just laid out, what questions do members of Congress still have about the killing of Soleimani?
Lawmakers want to know why. They want to know why now, because they are worried about provoking Iran, about starting another war. And that's really the question you saw even Republicans asking after the briefing. And they feel as though they're not getting detailed information on the intelligence that the administration said it had, or whether the administration didn't have intelligence, as we saw in the clip you just played from Esper. So they're feeling that there are conflicting answers from the administration. And you see lawmakers, both Republicans and Democrats, asking for clarity and wanting to know what exactly the administration knew and why they decided to attack Soleimani at this time.
Well, Natalie, it's looking like the Senate could vote on a war powers resolution this week to limit President Trump's ability to attack Iran. What exactly should we expect from this vote?
So we are seeing some Republicans either saying they're looking at it, or in the case of Senator Mike Lee from Utah saying, and Rand Paul saying that they're going to vote for it after they secured some changes from Senator Kaine. So we expect this vote Wednesday likely. Some Democrats aren't going to be present probably in the Senate tomorrow because there is a presidential debate. So we expect this to be the latter half of the week. It's privileged, and so if it gets 51 votes, then it'll go to the House where we'd expect it to pass, and then go to the president's desk. This is a resolution that says that Congress doesn't approve necessarily of what the president did. They want him to consult Congress. It's a reminder that they're here, that they're reminding him of the War Powers Act, and they're wanting more consultation before he acts again.
Meanwhile, Anita, there are protests in Iran which are continuing after the government admitted it accidentally shot down a passenger plane, killing all 176 people on board. What has the Trump administration had to say about the crash and the protests?
Well, they've said that the president himself has said that the crash, he felt like it was probably a mistake, which is what Iran has said, that it was an accident. But the president has been tweeting and talking a lot about the protests and talking about how he's with them and he's siding with them. And he's really using this to push the Democrats. He, from the very beginning this last week, has said that President Obama, his predecessor, was supportive of Iran, has sided with Iran, wasn't tough on Iran. And now he's taking that same message to Nancy Pelosi, the Speaker of the House, Chuck Schumer, the Senate Minority Leader, and saying they're not pushing back. They should support him in what he's done, and they should push back on Iran. So he has been doing this for now several days, and it sounds like that is the message they're going to continue to take on Iran.
Let's talk about impeachment. Natalie, CBS News reports the White House expects at least 4 senators, possibly more, will vote to call witnesses during a Senate trial, and the group includes Alaska's Lisa Murkowski, Maine's Susan Collins, Utah's Mitt Romney, and Colorado's Cory Gardner. Help us understand, Natalie, what the impact of this breakaway group could be.
Elaine, the magical number here is 51. And so Democrats know they almost do not have the 67 required to remove the president. But they're looking at 51 because 51 senators, which 47 members of the Democratic caucus. So you just need 4 Republicans to vote with them to bring witnesses in. And that's why they're looking at Susan Collins, at Cory Gardner, both senators who are going to face tough elections this year. And Democrats feel as though if they can kind of put pressure on them, get pressure coming in from their home states where you have a significant number of Democrats, putting pressure on these senators to call for witnesses, to support witnesses. Democrats believe that they could then bring witnesses into the trial and perhaps change the narrative a bit, or perhaps you could see a John Bolton testify. John Bolton's a wild card. They don't know necessarily everything he's going to say, just that several witnesses referred to the fact that he was very key as this Ukraine process was going on. So look for the magical number of 51. Mitt Romney is key because he's expressed some concern and he said he would like to see John Bolton. And these other senators, kind of institutionalists, ones that are retiring who really respect the Senate process, they are seen to be wild cards that could also vote to bring in more witnesses.
Well, Anita, how big of a blow could this be to President Trump and his defenders?
Well, let's take a step back and remember that even before impeachment started this entire year, actually last year, 2019, the White House and the administration has not really cooperated with House Democrats as they started their investigations on a number of things, including Ukraine. They do not want administration officials to go before Congress and talk about whatever they do know about Ukraine or anything else. And so they didn't want them to do this with the Senate. So here we are. There are things, as you just mentioned, that we don't know. We don't know what John Bolton's going to say, so he is the wild card. They do know what other people are probably going to say, and they don't want that information out. The other thing is they're afraid that if they open the door to one person, that other people, that they'll be called on, other administration officials will be called on to testify, and that's something that they haven't wanted from the beginning. Part of me thinks that President Trump wouldn't mind it because he has wanted witnesses, his own witnesses, from the very beginning, and he's been fighting the Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell on that. But Senate Republicans, Republican leaders feel like it would be best if this trial was quick, no witnesses, just get through this this and move on. So it is a blow to the White House if these witnesses do come forward.
Well, Natalie, you have reported that House Speaker Nancy Pelosi is looking to send articles of impeachment to the Senate this week. Remind us why they've been waiting and what comes next once the articles are delivered.
House Speaker Nancy Pelosi said she wanted to see what the Senate process would look like. She wanted to see that in writing, so she held on to those articles for a few legislative days, 3 weeks total, and she didn't get anything in writing, but Mitch McConnell did say that the process would closely track the process adopted for President Bill Clinton. So we know that when the House sends over articles, we expect to vote Tuesday at the earliest. Wednesday could be likely. The articles will be sent to the Senate. The vote will also name impeachment managers. So this will be a handful of House Democrats who will go to the Senate and make those opening arguments. And the trial will start within a few days. So John Cornyn, senator from Texas, who talks to Mitch McConnell often, he said we could see it start next Tuesday. So it will cancel the Martin Luther King Day week-long recess for the Senate. They will be in and likely spending Tuesday through Saturday hearing opening arguments in the Senate, and we will see from the process that lawmakers adopt on just how long the process goes. If they call in witnesses, that will take longer. Of course, the Iowa caucus date is quickly approaching, and there are certainly a few Democratic senators who will be watching that date closely as it gets nearer.
Right, that calendar is getting more and more crowded here the deeper that we get into 2020 rather. So Anita, last week you co-authored a piece looking at how some of President Trump's biggest defenders in the House will be sidelined in a Senate trial. Explain why that is and the impact their absence would have.
So President Trump has been talking for weeks, really, about having House members, House Republicans, join his legal team. Right now, his legal team is headed by the White House counsel and 2 of his deputies. He also has one of his outside attorneys, Jay Sekulow, who's going to be involved. So those are 4 people. He has talked about having these House Republicans because he was very impressed with them during the House impeachment hearings. He thought they were very forceful, defending him both on TV and at the hearings. And he wants that again. You know, as you know, this president very much watches television. He is very much looking at that image and what that's like, and he has liked what he's seen. So he wanted someone who was aggressive. The people, particularly at the White House counsel's office, have not had that experience. They've not been on television and speaking publicly a lot. So he wanted that. What we've heard is it's gone back and forth, but that Senate Republicans, including the Majority Leader Mitch McConnell, has advised him that wouldn't be a good idea and that they should sit it out. And so we've heard that they are probably going to do that. And I think what we'll probably end up seeing is House Republicans and Trump allies appear on TV quite a bit and to defend him and talk about the case, and probably in a way that they can't do on the Senate floor anyway, as the White House counsel is taking the lead. So it's probably a little bit of a blow to the president, but there is another way for them to get their message out.
All right, no doubt. Anita Kumar and Natalie Andrews, thank you both very much.